Going back to collecting, you guys do this thing on Time and Type, Micro Mondays, which I love. And here's a micro brand that you have that I've heard so much about that I've not yet been able to see in person. So this is one I'm excited about because I know just a little bit about this. When I was looking at them, I was like, Brew, where did this name come from? And this happens to be a gentleman who's very passionate about coffee.
Yes.
Which I thought was awesome.
So it's Brew Watch Company, a gentleman by the name of Jonathan Ferrer. Think of salt of the earth, amazing, great person that you would wish was your friend because that's how great of a person they are.
Right.
That's this guy.
Wow.
I've yet to meet anyone on the face of the earth in all watch meetups that said one bad thing about Jonathan.
Wow.
Like the guy is just that nice of a person. So when he creates, the urge to collect doesn't come from investment. The urge to collect comes from the fact that this is such a great person behind the brand.
Right.
Like, so for me,
So you're buying to him.
I'm buying him. So for me, from the moment I met him, I always knew, I was like, Jonathan, I'm getting one of your watches. But, you know, I got to stick to the rule. Don't buy into a brand unless it's something that you actually want. Don't just buy it because you're saying, okay, I'm just going to buy a Brew because I want to make sure I have a Brew. Because then you're not going to wear it. You're not going to be passionate about it. You're not going to like it. So I waited. And then he dropped this, which is this beautiful salmon dial. He calls it copper. I like to say salmon.
It's definitely salmon. I agree with that.
So he dropped this. It's his first no date in terms of watches because he usually does quartz chronographs or he does time and date automatics. So this was the first no date that he put out. And like all the other watches I've told you guys about, it just clicked. And I said, like, price of admission, how much I like the watch, how much I'm really invested in the person behind the brand because he's such a great person. I'm grabbing this. And as you could tell by the bracelet, I wear that.
The bracelet is nice.
Yeah.
Where do they start at retail?
It's usually around 3 to 4. 3 to 4 and then...
So they're not cheap.
No.
This is...
if I remember, I think that is $450.
Yeah, it's fairly expensive timepiece.
That's a newer piece for his collection, right?
Yep.
So the funny thing is that I've been looking at this brand like Brew for some time. We had a good friend of ours that actually was gifted one, and we got to see one physically.
Which, the Pac-Man?
No. It was the green dial. Remember Carlos got gifted one? And I loved the piece. But to be honest, when you shared this piece, if I were to get a Brew, I was like, I would get this one. Like, transparently. I was like, Brew is cool, but like, and then I seen this piece and I was like, I found something I like.
The case back,
No,
too.
it looks great.
Yeah.
And
It's got
I mean,
that small little window so just to see.
yeah. No, this is awesome.
I like the bracelet on that, but it gives me such old school vibes. You know what I want to put on that? Like, you guys know those like kind of
The stretch metal bracelets? I knew it because that's what that reminds me of.
They're like the what are they called?
I don't even, who knows, man.
Yeah.
There's so many different names for those things.
A lot of people call them like the hair pullers.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But like I thought about just putting it on that, and I put that on a leather strap every once in a while. But it just deserves to be on a bracelet. It's just it has that vibe, and I mean it's smooth.
Yeah, it's real smooth.
Like,
that's what I was like.
If you
this
pay
is good.
attention to his Instagram, you'll see the amount of work he puts into checking every single watch, making sure it goes out well. And another reason why I wanted that is a lot of my history with watches ties directly into Microbrands. Like there were years where I was really invested into Microbrands, simply through Watch With Us, through Microbrand meetups, the individuals I met. So I always told myself, no matter what, there has to be a Microbrand in your collection. And I always knew, I was like, okay, I got to get a Brew. And I saw that and I was just like, this is perfect. Like this is perfect. Mind you, the wife, she called dibs on it.
No, yeah, no, really.
She because I got her a Seiko before, and it's one of the few ones that doesn't have sapphire crystal.
Okay.
And she brings that to work, so it's kind of scratched out.
Uh-huh.
So one day she just went for this, and there was a good couple weeks I never saw it again.
Yeah, there you go.
So, but it's perfect. Like for my wrist, it's perfect. It kind of gives me that smaller watch vibe. I'm still on the hunt for probably a tank that speaks to me. But yeah, I really love this watch.
I love the we could sit and talk about all of the sort of the negative things that we see on social media today, but there is so much positive, and the energy that you're seeing online, especially with a lot of these micro brands, I think is really awesome. Did you take that picture that was posted today for Studio Underdog?
No. I wish I did.
Actually, that was a good photo.
Yeah, I actually, it got posted and I liked it, and I actually spoke to the brand owner because back in the Clubhouse days,
okay,
when everything was pretty much shut down, like I had gotten to know the brand owner and he had talked about the watch, and from then everybody was like, "This is cool. This is back with the watermelon version, all those different vibes." And I was congratulating him, like, "Man, this looks great."
I think his watches are awesome. We covered his stuff on the show too, and then like for that particular watch, he's using like actual like eggplant skin.
I'm gonna try to get one of those.
I love the story behind it. The fact that it's a charity for, if I remember, prostate cancer.
I think it's testicular.
Testicular cancer.
Yeah.
So you got the eggplant
I
imagery.
know.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, these are kind of the things that I like about the watch community, when we could kind of have fun and then play around.
Yeah, he has a sense of humor. I think it's very obvious.
It's not like so stuffy. And he always, when he was talking about the brand, he said that was kind of his MO. I don't want to be this super serious, stuffy brand. I'm like, I want to have fun. People should have fun with their watches. And I like that kind of play that they did there. And it's I really like it. Let's just say that.
They're dope, man. I mean, he has like this really wide open case bag. You can see the movement. The movement is beautiful. His stuff sells out. It's like almost impossible to get one.
Yep.
And they're inexpensive, but they're not cheap. You're talking about like $500 to $600, like a pop, and they're just like going. So kudos to him. That's pretty awesome. Moving along, but sort of sticking with collecting, we'll round that up. What's your Grail piece? What's the watch what's your North Star watch? What's the piece that's like, before I'm done, before I'm gone, I got to get this on the wrist. I have to own it.
VC Perpetual calendar in gold with the blue dial.
Okay.
On bracelet?
On bracelet.
Good.
On bracelet.
What is it about that piece that speaks to you so much?
That is such a flex baller hot piece.
So you like to flex a little.
Yes. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. I think everybody likes
Sure.
a little bit. I mean, we're not just wearing these just to be like, oh yeah, don't want to show it to anybody. No, you feel good, much the same way you'd feel in like a really nice, well cut suit.
Exactly.
That's how you feel with a really nice watch. And I remember when that came out, and everybody else was getting attention on other watches, talking about this, and I'm just like, that right there.
Yeah.
Like, I know that's like a third of a house, but still, man. Like, if I came across some money today, mind you, I've never seen the watch in person.
Wow.
That's how difficult it is to see that watch in person.
Yeah.
I've stopped by VC. I asked the guy, I come from a meeting, I asked the guy, I was like, where can I see it? He was like, he was just like, dude, I haven't seen it. Wow. I was just like, are you kidding me? He's like, yeah, like we get maybe 2 or 3, and before they don't see the case.
Yeah,
these are literally watches
come in, they're gone.
That come in, get wrapped up, so the person could come and pick up that's on the list that paid for that watch like last year when it first came out.
Wow.
And I've yet to actually see it. I've seen other overseas. Yeah, I've seen others, but I have not seen that specific one. And to me, that mixture of blue and gold is one of the best mixes when it comes to just aesthetics. And that watch is bad, man.
Wow, bold statements. We're gonna pull that one up. Yeah. That's tight, man. Is there any pieces that you regret purchasing or selling? Have you had that experience? Either or.
No regrets, actually.
Respect.
No regrets. And you know what it is? Because I take everything as a learning experience.
Okay.
So, every experience I've had before, whether I sold a watch a week later or I sold it months later, one, I tell myself, you basically rented that watch to experience it.
Yeah.
And I kind of, play with my mind that way, even though I'm losing a couple hundred. I tell myself that. And also, it's a learning experience. All of it is stepping stones on the journey of my collecting life.
I like that.
It's how I learn who I am as a collector. Because, I'm sitting with you guys today and I have a mindset about what I want. Mm-hmm. Hit me up 2 years later, things are probably going to change.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. New things are going to come out, new aesthetics, new mechanisms. It's going to change, but everything is just a learning experience.
Yeah. No, definitely something that rings true for me. I think just even in the last 12 months or even since right before COVID till now, it's totally changed for me. And especially over the last 12 months, really honing in on what I like and understanding what I like, and my affection for tool watches sort of reigning supreme. Yeah. That's just me all day. I mean, you know how crazy I got about the Zodiac.
Yep. That Seawolf.
I just saw it, and it's much like how you described. It was just
Pop.
Yep,
yeah,
I'm getting it. Yeah.
You know what? You know what's so funny, and Perri can kind of attest to this. Just kind of speaking about you not having regrets and your Grail piece, what might be something that you gotta have, or what you felt you've parted with, and something in that realm. I feel from the beginning when we were having our conversation, for at least the past decade, because Perri has known me for about that long, maybe even longer, I still get excited about watches. I still collect watches. Great watches, not so great watches, watches that I will wear, watches that I won't wear, watches that I'll just look at. I'm still kind of in that phase of where you were, and I don't know if I'll ever come out of it because I've been doing it for so long. To where it's you know what? I like everything. I like everything, and that's just I don't know if that's
you don't
It's
you don't like
different,
everything.
though. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
You have a wide range of what you do
yes.
and you just pop the
happen
trigger
is-
a lot.
Yes.
What's gonna happen is that you're gonna find a real quality piece, and you're gonna be I want more like that.
Yeah.
And then that's when you'll stop with the other stuff.
But now the thing is this. So the way I am and how I collect. So let's say, for example, Rolex. I want to own a Rolex. I won't buy a Rolex until I could buy every single Rolex I want. Every single Rolex I want.
I wish it worked like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I'm saying. In a perfect world, yes, I should be able to walk in.
You know that point you made earlier about the point that we all made earlier about how a lot of people say they want these Rolexes, but they've never seen one before, or even really tried one on. How do you actually know you want all those Rolexes?
Because I have seen them and have tried them all on.
And you want all of them. You can confidently say that.
I do want all of them.
That's a bold statement.
I want all of them.
That's a very bold statement.
very well stated.
All right.
That's what I'm saying.
where would
but
you start?
I will buy everything else until I can buy everything.
What's the list then?
Well, remember my Grail watch was
The GMT.
solid gold GMT.
Yeah.
Okay.
So solid gold root beer.
Okay, but what's the starting point? That's not going to be it.
Starting point could be simple Datejust. Maybe I'm talking Datejust 36. We looked at a Vanier dial,
Yeah.
diamond indices, that kind of blackish blue kind of deal going on the dial. That's kind of where I would start. Then maybe talking presidential, then going something professional. And then of course a Daytona in the mix. And I think I'd be done. But I mean, that's still everything.
But you see how you just went down the rabbit hole?
But it's classic, professional, and then of course, the icon. I can
Icon, you mean date 8?
Date 8.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to say is, in that retrospect, whether I can afford it or not, I would never be able to buy them all at one shot, at least at MSRP. Can I buy them all? Yes.
So you're talking about Rashawn gets $1 billion
Those are
just
the first 4 purchases.
buys all of them at once.
Well, yeah,
Okay,
I'm a billionaire,
respect.
sure, then I'll just buy all of them. But I mean, I feel like in the retrospect, like, okay, great. So let's just say if I do start off with like a vintage Rolex, I'm gonna get that itch to where I want to buy another Rolex.
I'm gonna ask a question, and I hope you don't take this in the wrong way.
Please.
Actually, I hate saying that because
Yeah,
I feel
don't-
like
yeah, just
I
ask
feel like
it.
every
Yeah.
time someone says that, it's like, yeah, I'm about to ask you some
Yeah.
stupid questions. If you could get them all at retail right now, would you feel the same way?
Absolutely.
Okay, I respect that.
Well, the reason is, and we shared this on the show, is like, so my dad wore a Rolex for 30 years. I'm 31. You know what I mean? So like, I have that kind of emotional attachment because, you know, I remember putting my dad's watch on. My dad's a big guy. His watch was so big that it could fit on my shoulder with the clasp closed. So I mean, this is a big guy. His name is Big Tim. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is a big guy. So like, in that retrospect, for me, that's just always where I resonated. It has a special tie to me. What my first watch actually that I owned, because, you know, when you were talking about like, you know, your mom gifting you your first timepiece, my first timepiece was actually like given to me by my grandfather. It was actually a G-Shock that was his.
That's awesome.
And then shortly after that, he passed away. Now, ironically, I feel like when you're a kid, it's like, you don't know where that watch is. And I wish I could go back in time and have held that watch because it means so much to me. So like, I have so many G-Shocks, and that's like the same connection I have with G-Shock is the same connection I have with Rolex. So how we spoke about G-Shock and we're like, we can just buy them all. It's so easy to buy them all, to collect them all. That's how I feel about Rolex. And that's, if I can't feel that way, then I don't want it at all.
Okay.
That's just how I am.
I respect that. I respect that because you know what it is. I always try to do some self, you know, break down myself and what it is I'm trying to do when I'm collecting. And I always would ask myself, and I actually wrote a piece about it, you know, what, where's that need for me to get a Rolex? Like sometimes I would feel like is there something wrong with me? Because it seemed like everybody else wants one, but I'm not really interested. And I think a lot of that has to do with what you're talking about. You have that emotional connection to the brand. And I never really grew up with that emotional connection because I'm trying to start that connection for like I'm trying to be your dad. What your dad was for you,
yes,
I'm trying to be to my son.
Yes.
So it kind of started me off on a blank slate where and that's why I think I kind of went crazy because I had nothing really coming from my past that's telling me, you know, or anything I had a connection with. Like that connection you speak of is something I wish I had because I love that type of connection because there's so much. I have that connection with the piece my mom got me, but in terms of like that passing down and that constant imagery, like I don't have that. And that's kind of what I'm trying to build with my son. And hearing it in your voice, even though some people would be like, oh, you crazy for saying that about the Rolex? I completely now understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like it makes complete sense to me now.
Yes.
It's like that, man. That's kind of hard to follow up.
It was, you know what's crazy? You had that moment that like Perri had when he was talking about the Omega and like the air just like comes out of like it just sucked out of the room and it's just like the flashing light just has to be over you, like the strobe, and it just has to be over you while you're just like explaining this. It's amazing.
Man. No, it's good, but it's I mean, you made an excellent point. I think the connection that you have with your father and just understanding that, and then your grandfather, I get it. And as a parent, it's sort of the same thing. My dad had a Rolex. Not really sure what happened to it. He's still around, but he doesn't care much about watches. He likes them. He wears like an Eco Citizen Drive. Now that's like his favorite watch. He loves that. Me and my sister got it for him for Christmas. That was like the thing that he wanted. Nice. But doesn't care so much. It's sort of kind of interested that I care. My grandfather was a big watch collector. But I'm trying to kind of establish that now with my daughter. And so like getting her Flick Flack, and like now she watches the show, and even my wife is into it now. Now she's like a watch person. She's like saying, I know what that is. That's a what you call them thing. And, you know, so it's fun, and I get it. But that's sort of the beauty of about this passion, this hobby of ours is, you know, all of the sort of ancillary things that come out of that with the relationships that you have with the people around you. So kudos to you, sir. So Watches and Wonders is coming up. You're going. What are you hoping to see? What are you hoping to see? What do you think you'll see?
I am hoping to see something new. I know that's weird to say, but I think you guys kind of understand what
I understand
when I say something new. You know what it is, and we were talking about this earlier. I feel like the industry has kind of gotten to a point now where times are starting to get good again.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys remember, there was a time where things were really, really good, and then they weren't so good.
Mm-hmm.
And now I feel like we're on the other side of that curve, and we're going back up to really, really good.
Yeah.
And what I'm worried about is as we get close to that top of that curve where times are really, really good. And when I say times are good, I mean times are good for the brands. You know, they're seeing profits starting to rise. I mean, when people thought that, oh my gosh, the pandemic was going to mess things up, like I speak to ADs, they're like, nah, business is
It's
good.
booming.
Business is good. So I feel like we're going on that uptick. But what scares me about that is then we'll get to a point where the brands no longer feel like they need to really attract the customer.
Yes.
And they'll start settling on things and going and not really, I don't want to say pushing the envelope, but more not really, one, giving a lot of things that us as consumers would always want to see from the brand.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're kind of getting, I'm afraid we're going to get to that point.
It's interesting because there was like this, there's like all these watch analytic memes that come out. And I thought about that when I saw they had a graph where it was like profit units sold. Mm. And I feel like at some point it could get to this place where these companies are more concerned with how many units they're moving, as opposed to like giving you quality watches, still innovating, doing new things. So I understand that.
I mean, don't get me wrong. As a brand, you're always trying to maximize what you do. So if you make 1,000 watches, you want to sell 1,000 watches. Mm-hmm. You don't want to have anything just sitting there and people are not purchasing, which I completely understand. But I'm kind of in this tricky place where I write, but then I'm also a collector. Mm-hmm. So I have like these two sides of the coin that are constantly battling each other, where I understand the one perspective, but then there's the other perspective as a collector where I'm just like, but I still want this.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm worried about. I've seen a few things so far that make me think, okay, maybe we're not going to get to that point. Maybe, or we're not getting to that point yet,
right? Which
has me very happy. But it's always a fear of mine. It's I don't know if you guys, there's a movie called Margin Call.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
And it kind of talks about the 2008 crash. Mm-hmm. And it's at some point in that movie, they basically talk about how everything is cyclical. Mm-hmm. Like we go up, we go down. We go up, we go down. And I'm worried like we're going to be in this cyclical kind of time where we're going to see that. And it does worry me because I'm just sitting there and I'm just like guys, like
it's so good now. It's like, what does it look like when it's not?
No, it's not. And one really bright side to all this I have to say is brands are really starting to listen to what consumers want.
It's good.
Really starting to listen to what consumers like. Perfect example. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Longines Spirit Collection.
Yep.
When it first came out, everybody loved the watch. Technically speaking, it's an amazing watch.
Yeah.
And at that price point, really hard to beat.
Sure.
One of the main beefs people had with that watch was the long lug to lug.
Okay, yeah.
People would feel like, you know what, the watch is a little bit too long on the wrist. It just doesn't sit right.
Mm-hmm.
The other day, I went to one of their release parties for the new lineup. And to actually be there and have the person from Longines specifically bringing up, we worked on the lug to lug, we got it down. I don't think I've been that happy.
That's awesome.
In a long time to hear that from a brand. Because it just told me they're listening.
Mm-hmm.
And where you would hear that old excuse that, oh, we just represent a small portion of the watch collecting. You know, there's a billion other people who are just collecting this way. The ideas and thoughts we have about watches really do matter.
Yeah.
Because if you make a comparison to, like, let's say fashion.
Okay.
Where you'll have things on the runway,
mm-hmm.
and then and people will tell you it's hot, and within 2 to 3 years, all of a sudden you see it trickle down to fast fashion,
mm-hmm.
and that same style is now with everybody else. So if you think of us in terms of like the core watch collecting group as the guys who are on the runway checking these clothes out and telling you what's hot and what's not,
mm-hmm.
when we think something is hot, it trickles down to the point where all of a sudden people start to look at it and they're like, you know what? Yeah, that is something cool.
Yeah.
So our opinions and our thoughts do matter. I get tired hearing of so many people say, oh, you only represent like really 10% of the people who buy watches. I'm like, yes, we do. But we talk about them.
Yeah.
We're doing videos about them.
Mm-hmm.
We're putting our thoughts out there. So when we say, you know what, a 39 is okay, 39 works.
Come on, let's go.
When we say, hey, you know what, watches have started to get too big. What are people doing now? Smaller watches.
Yeah.
So don't say that our opinions don't matter, because they do.
At the end of the day, you're still buying watches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, you know, that made me so happy, and that made me think, okay, you know what, I have some hopes for this. I don't think we're not quite there yet.
Right. Mm-hmm. In terms of them listening and doing their best to keep their fingers on the pulse, what do you think that looks like from the perspective of like different communities, underrepresented voices, people of color, women?
Man, this one hits home,
mm-hmm.
because
are they listening? Are they listening to people of color? Are they listening to women? Are they listening to people outside of what their core demographic, at least what they thought that was for?
I think they are listening,
mm-hmm.
but simply because of how slow they kind of work over there, we won't really see the true hit of this stuff probably for like another year or two.
Another year or two.
Just because in terms of their thinking, like these guys, when they're coming up with watches, they're thinking about 2024
mm-hmm.
already. Like we're all here like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see what they release. Like that, what they're releasing now, they thought about maybe 2 years ago.
Gotcha.
And when you start to think of their timelines, you start to realize for them to react,
mm-hmm.
to react fast enough, it's just not built into their timeline.
Got it.
So like perfect example. I love the Tissot PRX. I have one in my collection. Beautiful watch, probably one of the best values under $1,000 right
mm-hmm.
now on the street. That watch came out last year on my birthday. I remember it perfectly because my beautiful wife, she got me one for my birthday.
Awesome.
From the moment that watch came out, I was just like, man, they need to make straps for this watch.
Yeah.
Like this watch needs straps. Like this is perfect integrated bracelet. You throw some straps on this,
mm-hmm.
man, you'll make the money on the watch. You'll make another $300-400 on the straps alone.
Yeah.
And time just kept passing by. Tick, 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 tick. And I reminded myself, they probably do have the straps, but their timeline is not my timeline. Like I'm asking for this stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
They're thinking ahead. And what did we just see?
Yeah.
They dropped straps.
Yeah.
They dropped a chronograph. And no, that chronograph that you're seeing now was probably thought of maybe a few months after they thought about the PRs.
I mean, if you want to use Rolex as an example, right, just because they're one of their giant brands, right, they make over 1 million watches a year. On average, it takes them 15 months to make one single watch. So imagine every other brand.
Yeah.
Those colored OPs that came out last year, they probably had this market research 2 years ago. And they were like, we need to make this happen.
And And now they're kind of more timid in terms of production. So like you'll have situations like the Tiffany Blue OP, where like anyone that could get to listen to me, I'll tell them the reason why the price on that watch is so high is I honestly don't think right now there are not a lot of them out there.
There's not they're not really hitting ADs.
Yeah,
No.
Because I talk to ADs, almost everyone I know that has that watch purchased it within the first few months it came out.
Sure.
Everyone else that wants it now, it's hard to find.
Yeah.
And that's what you're starting to see reflected in the pricing. Then when you break down the paperwork and you're like, wow, that specific color rate only represents a couple % of their total AP, of their total OP production. Oh, okay. So now you start thinking about these numbers, you're like, okay, now it makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right. Sure, 60,000 for OP. But you're now starting to understand, okay, that's what it is. And you're then going to get to a point where now they're going to react. And you're going to start to see more hit the market because they're reacting. But for companies like this, they don't have, no matter how strong and powerful they are, they don't have the power to just start production immediately on something in response to what they're seeing right now.
These are still handmade objects.
Yeah.
So now I want to chime in because this part might be a little bit lengthy because I have like kind of like 2-3 parts to what I want to ask you. Coming from our background in fashion, we see things in fashion very faster, like much faster than in these kind of industries where there is like some kind of like master craftsmanship going on. For example, in fashion where we have come from, you will see, you know, if a garment or some kind of representation or underrepresentation is not displayed, we speak about it and then immediately it's changed. Because you're talking about ready to wear, fast fashion, and then, you know, like you said, you have runway. So runway sometimes can take a little bit longer, but because you have ready to wear and fast fashion, those things are either eliminated or reprogrammed. Now, in that retrospect, I think what happens in the watch industry is you just go ahead and you take a woman, a person of color, someone that is like, you know, identifies with a different gender or any kind of other view, and you just slap them on a billboard and you go, oh, we're progressive. Now, the question I want to ask you, because you are so close to the industry, you know, how could these brands go ahead and take it to the next level? Because you do have these like mass producers like a Rolex that makes 1 million watches a year, so on and so forth. Like, how do they do a little bit more than just like making us the face of a brand?
I'll tell you, I'll give you a perfect example. And it's one of the main reasons that I wanted a Grand Seiko in the first place.
Okay.
We know when we're being lied to. We see it. We know we're being taken advantage of. We know it.
Yes.
We like, come on, bro. Like, really? Like, really? Come on.
It's almost like pandering.
Yes. We know it. But the perfect example I give you of when it's done right, Grand Seiko did a limited edition GMT through Houdinki, blue dial, and the ad campaign was a black husband.
That's Dave.
That's Dave. We personally know Dave.
You know, I've been trying to find Dave for a while.
Just ask for Dave.
Just to be like, thank you. I
was talking to him yesterday.
We'll bridge the gap.
We literally talk to Dave every day.
Dude, that, like, if you go back to my Instagram, that ad campaign changed everything.
Shout out to Dave.
Yeah, shout out to Dave.
Because you know
Ask
what?
for Dave on Instagram.
Ask for Dave on Instagram.
He's lit now.
Yeah, you guys got to make the connection because, man, that ad changed everything to me because it was perfectly and beautifully done. You have a black man. He's not single. He's not. He's perfectly atomic family unit, husband, wife. Basically, the imagery that we don't see a lot.
Exactly.
And we saw there. And you know what made me appreciate it even more? Because I know that was not a happenstance choice. Someone in a room somewhere said, we're going to do it this way.
Yes.
And the brand then said, cool.
Yeah.
And when you have all those things clicking, that's authentic to me.
That is, yes.
That is imagery that I love to see, because I saw that, and from that moment forward, I said, no matter what in my lifetime, I'm getting a Grand Seiko.
Yes.
And people can say, well, that's the power of advertising, but when it's done really well like that, I mean, nothing was said in this advertising.
Yeah, nothing. It was no words.
There was no words.
So
But
funny.
we all knew, and it all hit us, because as a father, I saw that, and just seeing him on the piano with his kids, and the highlight wasn't the watch. It was in a few screen grabs here and there, but the highlight was the family and how the watch kind of tied into his day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And
they shot that. I think that was shot at Dave's
That was
house.
shot. That was
at
shot
his
at his
house.
home.
That was his kid.
So that was his
That
home.
was his wife.
That was his kids.
That
That
was
was his
his real
wife. It wasn't
family.
it wasn't an act.
That was literally a day off in Dave's life.
Yeah.
If you follow Dave on Instagram and he has a day off from work,
Dude.
this is
Because
what
he
he's
DJs,
posting
he
on
does-
his story.
You know, it's funny though. I talked to him about that campaign once, and I was like, "Man, how did that come about?" He was explaining it to me, and then they were like, he was offered to keep the watch. He's like, "No, I'm good." He's like, "Man, I probably should have kept that watch."
He probably should have kept the watch. He probably should have
He
kept the
definitely
watch.
should have kept the
But
watch.
you know, also too, like, you know, I think another brand that like resonates with me the most, and I felt like it was a shame that we didn't capture it on camera when we sat with VJ.
Oh, Oris. Yes.
Oris, and just how they champion and trophy philanthropy, humanitarian work, and all those kind of things. Like, you know, working with the Brashear State, Roberto Clemente, you know, all of like the jazz musicians that they've worked with, you know, kind of appreciating the Greenlands in Africa. Like, that's something that like speaks to me so much, because I mean, these guys are all the way in Switzerland.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what they know about jazz music.
If I remember correctly, I think one of them was a fan of jazz.
Well, and they do like a big jazz like show in Switzerland every year. They've been doing it since they've been doing it since like the late 50s.
Well, I mean, more or less in like the retrospect of like how many.
I get
how
what
many
you're
people
saying,
are like
though.
kind of like highlighting that
It's
part of the
totally
culture.
something they don't have to do to sell watches.
Yes, exactly.
But that's the thing. It's done naturally.
It's done naturally.
It's done naturally.
Yeah.
It's not done like someone's checking a list. Like, oh, I covered this. I covered that person.
Yeah.
I made sure I add that person to the. It's not done that way. It's just we want to highlight this, bang. We want to highlight this, bang.
And I love when that happens too, because through authenticity, the people come.
Yes.
Yep.
Right. So it's like when Oris is doing these things, they might not even be doing it saying, "Hey, we want to hit up these communities." They're not thinking of
They're
it.
not
They're
thinking
like,
that way.
they're like, these are things we're interested in.
Yeah.
And then what happens is they put it out there and people go, "I'm interested in that too. What's Oris about?"
Yes.
Yeah. And go.
Ben, can we get an infamous shout out to VJ?
Shout out to VJ.
Definitely.
We miss you.
VJ is the man.
He is.
Yes, we miss you and we love you, VJ.
He'll be back.
Yes.
We'll get him back on.
We're getting back on.
VJ's good people. Got a chance to speak with Wolf, who kind of their co-CEO, and I'm telling you guys, it's not just a VJ. Like it's the whole organization.
Yeah.
Everyone in that organization, their mind is just right
Yeah,
when it comes to that stuff.
When we were talking off camera with VJ and we hung out after we shot the episode, he said the same thing. It's really how everyone thinks.
That's so good. All right. We're going to have a little bit of fun. This is the last segment. It's a little game. Rashawn came up with this. So there's like that game, was it Marry, Kill, whatever. This one's called...
That's what we calling it?
No.
You didn't want to give a French lesson?
Yeah, no French lesson. No. Skip, flip, keep. So we'll put some timepieces out there. Either skip, not for me. Flip, I'll take advantage of it and get this bread real quick. Or you keep it. Since Rashawn came up with this game, I'll let him run down the list.
Yeah. So Ricardo, I want to start with the color OPs. Would you skip, flip, or keep any of them?
The Rolex colored OPs.
The Rolex colored OPs, yes.
Flip, Monday through Sunday, every day of the week.
Every single colorway.
Every single color. And
Wow. I'm keeping the yellow personally.
Yellow's dope.
Yellow
Don't
or
get
coral.
me
I'm
wrong,
keeping.
the coral is nice.
Coral's good.
The coral is nice. But you know what it is? But I'm coming from the point of view if I don't really have that connection to the brand. So you got to take what I say with like a grain of salt. But for me, like, and these are the moments that are always tricky because if you're someone like me who doesn't have the money to be buying these things aftermarket, like on the gray market, how can you be angry at someone for making money on something that's going up so high in price? Like you know how hard it is to be someone who really loved this watch and you barely made enough to buy it, and then see on a daily basis this watch going up in price
Four times
times the
retail.
price. You know how difficult it is, and then other people have the nerve to tell you you should not flip it.
But it's an investment.
But I gotta flip it. It's just guys forgive me, but I gotta flip it.
Okay. So then, moving on, what do you think about? Would you skip, flip, or keep the Royal Oak time only?
He's thinking.
Contemplating. We need Jeopardy music. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'll probably keep that.
Okay.
That.
Nice.
What dial color would you want to keep? I'm assuming you're going 41.
Yeah.
Okay, black, blue, silver.
I'm a sucker for blue.
Respect.
Blue is an amazing color. Really versatile.
So what's your tie to Audemars Piguet versus like Rolex? Because they right now they are at the top tier of like the secondary market flipping kind of like culture.
It's weird. I don't have the connection to Rolex, but at the same time, like just my history with watches and AP, like I always held them in a really high standard. So it would be hard for me to have that watch in my hand and actually let it go somewhere else. So there's certain brands where you get one of their pieces and you're just like, how'd you that shit?
Yeah.
And you just okay, I gotta, my precious, I gotta take care of this, and yeah. So that I guess that's kind of the vibe that the Royal Oak gives me.
Okay, so the next one on the list is a micro. I know you like micros, and kind of like their significance to the watch community. This piece has been getting a lot of buzz. It's the Kuruno time only turquoise dial. What do you think about that? Skip, flip, or keep?
I am keeping that.
Nice.
That's a good one to keep.
Reason I'm keeping that is I have a good friend of mine also at Time and Tide. His name is Zach. You could pretty much consider him like the Corona Tokyo collector. He has like 3 or 4, almost 5 of their pieces.
Oh, wow.
And I had yet to get an opportunity to try one on, but then I just tried on one of the versions that he recently got. And it's a high polished case, but it's like wet liquid. It is sexy.
Wow.
Like it is a really, like the case is really sexy. Like, and I'm not a high polished fan. Because the first thing my mind goes to is,
You can see every single scratch.
yes,
Yeah.
that's the first thing my mind goes to. But that is too sexy of a watch on leather to let get away, and it's a really nice watch.
Okay. Nice. So another Japanese design. This one a little bit bigger than Kuruno. What do you think about the Grand Seiko Shunbun, the spring edition of the 4-season collection?
That is one of the watches that I highly wanted at one point in time. Light, really beautiful dial. That light pink dial, really nice. I'd have to say right now where I'm at with collecting, I would say skip.
Okay.
It's where I'm at right now. It's nah. It's a beautiful watch, but just not right now. Not right now.
Interesting. I didn't expect that one. I mean, because I would assume like everybody would keep that one Or
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, yeah. It goes back to what I say. Like if I don't have like that connection, like yeah, nah.
okay, that's fair. Now, you do have a really tight connection with Tissot. We spoke about that earlier, and you did mention the PRX. What would you do with the Tissot PRX 18 karat gold fluted bezel, skip, flip, or keep?
I would skip simply so I could wait and get that chronograph
Okay.
because that chronograph looks nice. Very
Okay.
nice. But yeah.
Nice.
I did think it was very interesting that they added like a little bit of luxury to the PRX line. I thought that was really cool with the fluted bezel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dope. Okay. This one here is like the drum roll. Last on the list, and I think one of like the most, I mean, outside of another piece, and it's still in the same line, one of the most controversial pieces in this line, the Patek Philippe 5711 Green Dial. But we're gonna step it up. Diamond bezel. That's a Ben special. You know that Ben suggested that.
I'm gonna give y'all a French lesson. That's my fuck you watch. Okay. Yeah. You go into a watch flip and you want to flex? Yeah. I'm gonna pull that out.
Yes.
Tell me how you feel now.
So what do you think about the Patek Philippe 5711 Green Dial with the diamond bezel, skip, flip, or keep? That's hard.
I would flip.
Yeah, you ain't gonna skip.
I can't even get mad on that.
Yeah, nobody's skipping that.
No.
No one's skipping that.
No one's skipping that. It's either you flip it or you keep it.
Yeah.
But then what would be your reason not to keep it?
Do you see what it's selling for?
Sure.
So,
But if you can acquire this timepiece, I think you don't need to sell it.
No, you're right.
Yeah, it's not just what they're selling for. Like for me, like where some would flex with the diamond bezel. Understood. Yeah, like from what I said earlier, you guys like that flash of yellow gold, man. That's all me. That's all me. So yeah, for me, it's just the diamond. Probably the diamond bezel is probably the
I'm not a
thing
diamond guy. We
Yeah.
talk about that a lot.
Okay.
Too.
Yeah, the diamond bezel would just be
It's a little too much for me.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a stone dude.
So what if it's just, plain Jane 5711 Green Dial, no diamonds?
I flip it still.
It's still good.
So all right. So now I have a question. The diamond bezel 5711 with the green dial. If we check market price right now, it's like $700,000, right? If you sold it and you just had an instantaneous wire for $700K to your bank account, what would you buy with that money?
So
In terms of watches.
So after I put my name on the list for the VC,
Okay.
because that's the first thing I'm
Sure.
I would then march on over to Longines,
Sure.
pick up a couple pieces there, and then probably the next place that I would go. This is actually an interesting question. Man, I think I would just take the rest of the money and put it down on the house. Because I
There you
think
go.
after the trip to VC and the trip to Longines, actually no, I take it back.
You gotta pick up some for the wife.
You gotta get a Ferrari.
Dude.
I was thinking that in my head.
Wife is getting one of the smaller Aquaterras.
There you go.
Pick a color, enjoy. I'd get the Speedmaster 57. Well, no, I get the gold.
The
and-
gold.
Yeah, that's where you get the
there you
motion.
go.
There you go.
There you go.
I get the gold and green. So
Yeah.
I have my blue and my gold. I'd have my green and my gold. Side note, that definitely looks better than the John Mayer, but we only want
No, I think
Yeah.
I agree.
But no stop at
I
AP?
agree.
What about a stop at AP?
I would that would be my last stop. I would probably pick up one of their high complication pieces.
Would you go for like a concept GMT or for like a super Sonieri or like a Perpetual or something like that?
I like the Super Sonic.
Yeah, you gotta go minute repair.
Yeah.
Sure.
There's like Zach that I was telling you about. He picked up recently a minute repeater from old school Longines pocket watch,
Oh wow.
and there's no better feeling than like hearing the sound
Yeah.
on one of those things. and like you just know like there's no battery in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is all mechanics.
Fully understand that.
Yeah.
It's probably my second favorite complication.
That's dope.
Which watch?
Patek 5208
I thought
R.
you were gonna say that.
Minute repeater, instantaneous perpetual calendar with a tourbillon.
Yeah.
Come on. You gotta have it.
Dude, and the watch winder to go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want to have to set that. Like,
No,
like
I mean, I'd probably enjoy it. I'd probably enjoy doing it, but yeah, I wouldn't. If I don't wear it for a week, it's a hassle.
Yeah. No.
I forgot one. That crazy reversal that came out last year.
Oh, Four Faces.
Yes.
That's good.
Sure.
That has the wind, the set,
Yeah.
the box with that does the winding and everything for it. You just put it in there. Yes, I'd pick
That's
that up
awesome.
because that's just a crazy watch.
Yeah. Man, this is fun. Thank you for stopping by, my dude.
Dude, thank you for having me.
We appreciate you. You were one of the first people that kind of tuned in and let us know what you thought and helped spread the word and support, and we appreciate it. One of our day one people.
Yes.
Dude, like it's going back to some of the things we talked about earlier. The community has to understand that we have a perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not the stereotype. There's nothing wrong with you guys talked about this a few episodes back with people buying like blinged out watches and stuff like that. But that is not the only thing that defines us as collectors.
100%.
Like, don't just put us into one barrel and say that's everything that we are.
Yeah.
We love vintage. We love smaller sizes. We love Omega. Like we are many things. We are not black collectors. We are
Collectors.
Collectors.
100%.
Yes.
So
100%.
I mean, anytime I see some brothers coming together and putting that forward and just sharing their experiences, man, sign me up, man. Like we gotta be out there.
We do.
Yes.
We do. And outside is opening back up, so you can find me there.
Oh, yeah.
I tell you that
It's gonna be
much.
fun.
It's a watch boy summer.
I think that's the name of the episode.
Oh my God.
There we go.
This has been incredible. Thank you for stopping by.
Yes.
I hope you all enjoyed this. The next time you see us, we'll be reporting on Watches and Wonders. And like every week, you can find us at Instagram, Wrist Check Pod. We're also on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and TikTok. Woo! We're with the youth. Don't forget.
Yes.
Catch you next week. Thank you.
Peace.